What is going on there? So where is she coming from? Hey, I must find out.
He's up to something. I know it. That man just walked into her house. No, really.
These people, something is not right.
You think I don't see what you're doing?
From the moment people in that Ghanaian compound began to say that life there never stays quiet for long, everybody already knew that when Madam Akosua Mensah opened her mouth or stepped outside her gate, something somewhere must become somebody else's business. Miss Akosua, a 38 years old single lady who dresses like she's 60, with sharp mouth, always outside, always watching, always holding either her itel phone or a sachet of Milo she had just mixed too sweet. A petty trader who owned a small provision shop in front of her compound. She sold raw noodles, tea, chocolate, bread and other household items. But the problem was that she often leaves her shop unattended just to go and monitor people's lives, and she behaved like the entire compound and street was built for her to observe, correct and report. People did not even call her full name anymore. They simply called her Madam Oversabi, a name that was given to her by her Nigerian neighbor Ifoma, and the kind of things people said behind her back were sharp enough to follow her even when she was not there. One woman once told another neighbor that at Akosua's age, she should be thinking of marriage and children instead of counting who entered which house. A neighbor once told her directly, "At your age, even your mates are already carrying children on their back. You are here carrying people's secrets like it is your job." Another man once laughed and said, "Akosua connects herself to other people's problems like Wi-Fi." But Akosua herself never believed there was anything wrong with her. She only believed that people were not careful enough and somebody had to watch them. What made her worse was that she remembered everything. If Yan next door bought Indomie, she knew. If Abena changed her hairstyle, she noticed. If Kwame greeted his wife twice in one morning, she already built meaning around it. And if anything unusual happened, she was the first to add story on top of it until it became something else entirely. She was nicknamed MTN everywhere you go. Even the compound children would say, "Auntie Akosua is always looking for trouble where there is none." Maybe that is why married people are running away from her. Whenever a man comes for her hand in marriage, she usually ends up chasing them away with her Oversabi. For instance, when Kofi, a man who once liked her, but left because she turned his mother into an investigation project, accusing the woman of controlling her son too much, even when nothing happened. Or was it when a calm civil servant who wanted to settle down with her, but after 1 month, he left because she almost embarrassed him at his office, telling people his salary details she assumed from watching him? Or was it Kwame, a man who stopped talking to her after she wrongly accused his disabled uncle of pretending to be poor for sympathy, and then everyone found out she was spreading wrong stories? People started saying, if you want peace, don't marry Akosua Mensah unless you're ready for your life to become a public property. If someone buys a seasoning cube from her shop, she already knows the type of soup the person is cooking and what the person is going to eat the soup with. If someone buys bottled water, she could tell if the person has a visitor, what type of visitor it is and the time the visitor came, whether morning, afternoon or evening. She's the only one who could guess who is broke in the compound or not. Or is it when someone buys a chocolate beverage? She starts guessing if the person would add milk or take it with just biscuit. That's how bad her Oversabi was. The real trouble began when a calm young woman named Amma returned from the city and moved into the compound. Amma was different. She minded her own business. She worked remotely at night and also during the day cooked food and did small chops when customers needed. She used a simple phone. Sometimes she bought data. Sometimes she cooked her food quietly and stayed indoors, and that alone became her crime in Akosua's eyes. Akosua started early. The first morning, Amma swept her side of the compound. Akosua swept her own side louder. When Amma does something, she saw it as a competition and tries to outdo herself. When Amma received a small parcel wrapped in brown paper and quickly took it inside, Akosua stood at her window pretending to drink water while already building stories in her head. She told Ya, one of the neighbors, that Amma was receiving suspicious things from the city. By evening, she told Abena that it might be money rituals, and before 2 days, the entire compound had different versions of Amma's life that Amma herself did not even know existed. One man even joked that maybe Amma was too quiet because she was hiding something powerful, but Madame Akosua turned it into something dangerous, saying people who are too quiet are never innocent. And slowly, she made it her full-time job to monitor Amma, leaving her own shop like Amma's life was a TV channel she could not stop watching. What people did not understand was that Akosua herself had become so busy with other people's lives that she had completely ignored her own. Even her own mother once told her, "Akosua, as big as you are, you still cannot sit down and think about your own life." But Akosua only laughed and said if she stopped watching people, who would correct the world? She saw herself as the disciplinarian in people's lives. Even when little things began to happen, like Akosua's front door sticking out, her cooking pot cracking while she was boiling water for tea, her favorite wrapper suddenly tearing when she was dressing up, and instead of thinking calmly, she immediately connected everything to Amma, saying that the girl must be doing something quietly. One night, she even stayed awake watching Amma's house through her window while her phone kept ringing with notifications she ignored because she was too focused on investigation. But what she did not notice was that her own small problems were growing around her like shadows. The next morning, she decided to go and report Amma to the compound elder. She explained everything with confidence, adding details that did not exist and removing anything that made her sound unsure. But the elder only looked at her and asked a simple question. "Akosua, when last did you stop watching your neighbor and focused on yourself?" Akosua laughed it off, saying it was impossible, but the question stayed somewhere in the air. One afternoon, while she was secretly watching Amma's house again, trying to see who entered or left, her leg slipped on a wet patch near a drainage. She fell hard into a shallow hidden ditch. Her phone flew to one side, her wrapper got stained, and for the first time in a long time, nobody was around to immediately laugh or rescue her because she had gone there alone without telling anyone. She called for help, and when Kwame finally came and pulled her out, she was not her usual loud self anymore. She sat down quietly, looking embarrassed, and that was when Amma came out calmly, holding water and offered it to her. No insult, no anger, just kindness. That moment broke something inside Akosua because the girl she had judged, mocked indirectly, and turned into a story in her head was the one now helping her without pride. And slowly, she started seeing how foolish she had been turning every small thing into drama. People laughed, of course. They laughed at her. Ya, her neighbor, whispered that Madame Oversabi had finally entered her own matter. Abena said maybe she should now focus on marriage instead of investigations, and even children passing by started calling her small names like busybody, and for once, Akosua did not chase anyone or respond. She went back home quietly, sat down, and for the first time, her house felt very loud because there was no one else to observe, only herself. And in that silence, she started realizing that her life had been empty in a different way, not because she lacked things, but because she had filled it with things that were not hers. From that day, something shifted. She still noticed things, but she stopped making them her job. She stopped building stories where there were none. She stopped turning neighbors into entertainment, and slowly, her life became calmer, not perfect, but lighter. Amma continued her peaceful life, still quiet, still focused, still kind, and for the first time, Akosua began to understand that not every silence hides danger. Sometimes it is just peace. And the lesson spread in that compound like light. That when you spend too much time living inside other people's stories, you will forget how to live your own. And sometimes the loudest lesson comes when life finally asks you to sit down with yourself and stop running around inside other people's matters. So if you're listening to this story, take it as a reminder that curiosity is good, but control is better. And peace is found when you stop turning every small detail into a story that does not belong to you and start building the story that belongs to your life. And if this story spoke to you, take a moment today, reflect on where your attention is going, and ask yourself if you are living your life or watching everyone else live theirs. Because in the end, the real story you will be remembered for is not the one you told about others, but the one you built for yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.